What's going on, everyone? Today I wanted to cover some of the best weapons to start with in Phantom Forces, as well as discuss some of the strengths and weaknesses of these weapons. I'll be focusing on three main categories for each weapon, which is as follows. Number 1, damage. Obviously, if you can't do enough damage, you won't be getting those sweet kills and XP to level up. So yes, I think this is very important to cover. Number 2, movement speed, aim model speed, and handling in general. Now this category is mostly up to personal preference, however, so I will be giving you the information and you can decide which of these weapons will work best for your playstyle. Alright, fair enough? Okay, number 3, ease of use. Naturally, as a new player, you will want a weapon that you can just pick up and have fun with. And again, this category will be based on my preferences and my personal opinions. And I expect you to decide what works best for you, because at the end of the day, I'm just the one giving you the information, and the way you play is entirely your choice. I will also be giving you a few weapons that I would avoid at the start, so let's get into it. Weapon number 1 will have to be the Intervention. Unlocked at rank 0, you will have this gun the very first time you open the game. And my god, is it good for being rank 0. Firstly, damage. This sniper does 100 torso damage up to 158 studs and can one-shot headshot at all ranges. However, like most of the snipers in this game, it is only doing 90 limb damage even at 0 studs. So if you want to be getting those sweet kills, make sure that you aim for the head or torso as much as possible. If you can do that, you will have a blast with this one. Moving on to our next category, movement speed, aim speed, and handling. Movement speed is 11, which makes this one of the slower snipers, but still one of the highest base damage snipers, which is a fair trade-off in my opinion. Aim model speed refers to how fast you can scope in. Many other games refer to this as ADS or aim down sight speed, so I will be referring to this as ADS for the remainder of the video. The ADS speed falls at 10 for the Intervention and makes it pretty average compared to other snipers like the BFG, IC-8, and Remington 700. And now the handling. Obviously, with it being a sniper, it's going to handle a little slower than something like the MP5K, for example, which I will be talking about later in this video. But if you're the type of person that doesn't need to run around like a bat out of hell getting multis like there's no tomorrow, this won't be an issue for you. Again, this is all up to personal preference, but I'd say the Intervention handles perfectly for a sniper and is honestly a blast to use. Which brings us to our final category for this weapon, ease of use. The Intervention is pretty easy to pick up and use if you have ever used snipers in other games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, or maybe even CSGO, and it's about as easy to use as any sniper in any video game ever. If you favor accuracy over speed, this thing will treat you very well. And overall, it's an 8 out of 10. So pick it up and try it, and if you aren't a huge fan, you might want to try this next gun, which is the MK11. The MK11 is a DMR, and a DMR is basically just a faster, lower damage sniper with a little more bullet drop off, and this one is unlocked at rank 3. And I know most of these weapons are rank 0s, but I just had to include this one because it is really, really good. And you'll only need about 6,000 XP to unlock it, and if you are good enough, you can get that in one game, which isn't bad at all. If you favor a faster playstyle while still avoiding crazy recoil and retaining the accuracy, this is definitely the one for you. Now on to damage. This one does 45 limb damage out to 110 studs, then falls off to 38 damage at 160 studs, which means you can 3-shot at all ranges, even with the limb shot, which isn't bad at all. Or a 2-shot headshot at all ranges, and it also has a 20-round mag to back it up. Next, we'll talk about the movement speed, which is 14, and that is actually really good for a larger weapon like this. 14 movement speed will give you plenty of speed to be aggressive, and if you prefer a faster playstyle, this one will suit you nicely. ADS speed is 15, which makes this one of the quicker DMRs to aim, with the SKS being the only one faster at 18. Handling of this weapon is really good overall. Now, I haven't gotten too many kills with it myself, but I've seen countless beginners use this weapon, and there is a reason. Moving on to ease of use, this is probably one of the easiest weapons to use in all of Phantom Forces. It is semi-automatic, which means it has practically no recoil, and it will keep your reticle on target. With a fire rate of 330, this will shoot fast enough to take down enemies at close and long ranges, and is honestly just an all-around, well-balanced, easy-to-use weapon. I would definitely try this one out if you're new or even an experienced player, especially if you prefer to play at a faster pace but also like to shoot at range. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10 for new players. Next on the list is the MP5K. Hey, just a quick little reminder before we get into the rest of the video. I just wanted to point out that only 0.5% of you guys are subscribed, and I would really appreciate it if you just went ahead and pressed that little button down there, because if you made it this far, I might be doing something right, and I'd appreciate it. Anyway, back to the video. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of it. The MP5K does 34 base damage out to 20 studs, and falls off to 17 damage at 100 studs, which will allow for an okay 6-shot kill at all ranges. However, this weapon should be used at close to medium range exclusively because of the damage drop-off. Next, we will be talking about the movement speed, ADS, and general handling, just like the last gun. The movement speed falls at 15, which makes it pretty quick, and it is faster than every other PDW in the game, with the exception of the MAC-10 and M3A1, which have the same movement speed at 15. Next up is ADS, which sits at 18, making it pretty average. It's certainly not the fastest, but it will get the job done for sure. Next up is general handling and feel. This one is really fun to use, and if you want to just run and gun, you'll have to try this one out for sure. I was definitely a little skeptical of this one when I was first starting to make this video, but it quickly became one of my favorite beginner weapons. Something else I wanted to mention, and something you may have already noticed, is the lack of recoil. There are a few guns later on that I will be quickly mentioning that have crazy recoil, and you will see that in a couple of clips as well. And I almost forgot to mention the fire rate, which is 900, which makes the lack of recoil even more impressive because 900 fire rate is no joke, and that definitely makes this worth trying in my opinion. And as far as beginner weapons go, I'll give this one a humble 7 out of 10. And those are the top 3 weapons I would definitely urge you guys to try if you are new. And now I will be discussing some I would avoid. Now, there are a ton of rank 0 weapons that you can try in Phantom Forces, but if I had to name a few that I personally wouldn't use if I were new, it would be these ones: the M14, the Colt LMG, and the KSG-12. Now, little disclaimer on the KSG-12, there is a use for it, as with any of these ones that I'm about to talk about, but I would honestly rather use a PDW over a shotgun if you can. If you want to use a shotgun, you absolutely can. So just a little disclaimer about that one. But let's start with the M14. The M14 is unlocked at rank 2. It has a really good fire rate at 750 and deals out 40 limb damage up to 80 studs, which sounds pretty good. However, the recoil makes this thing almost unusable for most players, and you could argue that it is viable if you were to tap fire. However, why not just use the MK11 at that point? Which is why I wouldn't recommend this for someone who is trying to get into Phantom Forces. Next weapon, the Colt LMG. This one has a pretty decent fire rate at 700, but it's certainly not the fastest. It comes with a 60 round magazine and deals out 35 limb damage to 60 studs. And this may sound pretty good with that 60 round mag. However, I find that this one is generally too slow to make it useful. And don't get me wrong, I've seen this gun used in lobbies, but the handling and recoil make this difficult to use for a beginner. And next up is the KSG-12. And like I said before, if you absolutely want to use a shotgun, just use a shotgun. At close range, it works. And as I said, again, the MP5K is probably going to treat you a little better just because it has a little more flexibility as far as range goes. And that'll probably ultimately be better for you if you are still trying to decide your playstyle. And with all that said, those are my top 3 weapons for new players, as well as the ones I would personally avoid. And I'd love to know which weapons you guys prefer down in the comments below. And if you disagree with my selection, I would love to know that as well. And if you made it this far into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe with notifications on, because it would help me out a ton and you will never miss an upload. With all of that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace. So just one more quick thing before the video ends. This is the analytics for my last video, and you guys went absolutely insane. Just today, it has gotten 1,000 views, and I absolutely appreciate that. That means the world to me. And we went from 16 subs to, I think we're at 53 just from this one video. That's just insane. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that went and watched that one. And if you haven't seen it yet, I'd love if you went and watched it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one.